Today, I'm gonna teach you how to draw this guy here, Master Roshi from Dragon Ball Z. I'm gonna teach you step by step how I achieve this result. Let's go. For this drawing, I'm gonna be using a gray tone paper. I already talked about these papers. I actually gonna do a video just explaining why you should try this kind of paper. But the reason that I use is because one of the reasons that I use is because it allows me to work with highlights, right? So it allows me to work with a white charcoal pencil, for example, and it's just fun to be able to use highlights instead just shadows like a white paper. I usually like to have like different variations of graphite pencils, like something very dark like this one and something lighter. Again, I'm probably gonna have to do a video just talking about all the materials that I use, but usually that, like a white one, something very dark, something middle ground, and also something thin like a 0.3 mechanical pencil for the little details. Again, you don't necessarily need something like that, but I love to work with that for details. And of course, erasers. I like to have an eraser like this for finer details. I use the eraser a lot actually. And a needle eraser, which is something like this that looks like a Play-Doh. And they work really well. You can just warm it up on your hands and shape, and it's just not messy like a regular eraser. Again, I'll just talk a little better in the videos that are gonna talk about the material, but just so you guys can have an idea on what I'm gonna be working today. Let's go ahead. So the first step is to collect images and references. You want to search in places like Google and Pinterest for cool images with cool poses and even other like fun arts, things that will not just inspire but also things that you can even copy, and don't feel bad about copying and using references, because that's the way you're gonna learn. That's how you're gonna develop your own style, by copying, by mimicking the best. And I ended up really liking this specific one because I like the contrast of it, and I really wanted to work with those darks and those lights. So once I collect my image, I'm gonna go ahead and start my second step of the process, which is the structure and the line itself, the line work. I start by trying to position the drawing in the paper in a way that the head is not going to be too up or the feet are going to be too down. Everything is going to fit in the paper. That's the most important thing. You want to make sure everything is going to fit exactly in your paper. Then the second step, I just created a line in the middle since the image looks very symmetrical, and then I try to find a proportion that will make sense for me. If you notice, I split the body in 4 and I use the head as a reference for this measure. And the only reason that I could do that is because of the position of this character and because of this specifically image. So you won't be able to always use the same proportions. So you're gonna need to train your brain to see this relationship between the different components of your image. For example, his head, the measure of his head, it's actually almost the same size as the measure between his chin and his crotch. And you can also even say that maybe half of the measurement of his head is the same distance between his cheek and the end of his shoulder. And that's of course just an example, but that's the way that you're gonna create more proportional drawings by trying to create these connections, this different relationship between the pieces. Once I establish some of these proportions, I start to define some lines and refine my drawing. In this step specifically, you're gonna notice that I use a lot of the eraser, sometimes even more than the pencil, because I'm treating my image almost like if it was a sculpture, like if I had a block of clay. So I'm just like trying to erase parts and sometimes add a little thing here and there. But this is the most important part of your drawing, because if this part is not clean and is not proportioned and it doesn't look good, it doesn't matter the magic that you're gonna do with the rendering, is just not gonna look good. So make sure you spend time in this part. Personally, it's not my favorite part. My favorite part is actually the rendering, the shadowing, the lights, and the details. But uh, I'm aware by experience of trying to skip or go too fast in this step, and then I come up with a drawing that have a very good rendering, but it lacks proportion or it lacks texture. So you really want to spend some time and make sure you're happy, make sure everything is good before you go to the next step, which it's finally gonna be to start adding some of the shadows and blocking some of the basic shadows. For the process of shadowing, I usually start with the very light tones, just so I can have a basically idea on where I'm gonna be putting my shadows. And then little by little I start to add darker and also add the whites. But usually the whites are actually the very last step. I like to work from medium to darker to even darker to lights, and then I do just a final refinement, which I will add even more darker tones and make sure everything looks nice and it's in place. And from this point all the way to the end, I'm gonna be pretty much just cleaning up the drawing and refining. I'm gonna be using a lot of the eraser, just making sure everything is nice. But let me tell you a little bit about Master Roshi. Assuming that you'd never watch Dragon Ball, if you ever watch Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, I'm sure you know who's Master Roshi. But if you're not, he's pretty much one of the characters of the show, and he's just this old man, this wise old man that he trained most of the warriors from the franchise, at least from the beginning of the franchise. But he also have a very cool personality, not a very typical personality for a guru or a master. He's like a very dirty old man. You know, he's always like reading adult magazines and like watching girls working out in the TV, and he's also always trying to be flirtatious or to take advantage of the girls from the cast. So it's pretty much a gag character. You know, the whole Dragon Ball show is not like a very serious show. It is an action show, but there is a lot of comedy, and Master Roshi is a perfect example of that. But in general, every Dragon Ball Z character, you know, like I'm a little suspicious because I'm a big Dragon Ball nerd. I really love the franchise, but also I think that Dragon Ball have some of the best well-written characters from every show that I ever watch. And I watch a lot of shows from like Breaking Bad, The Boys, Walking Dead, you know, like many shows since I'm a kid to my adulthood, and I don't think I ever watch a show that have better characters than Dragon Ball. It's the kind of show that every single character they have a lot of personality. They have a lot of peculiarities. It's really easy to become attached to those characters, and I think that's the big strength of Dragon Ball. You know, it's not a series that you should take too serious, but it's just like a very good, but very fun, very slice of life moments with these characters. So if you never watch, maybe give it a try. You know, you might enjoy it even as an adult. You might have some fun with it. But anyways, before I wrap up this video, I would just like to ask you guys to comment what you think. If you like this format, like I mentioned many of the other videos, I'm still trying to figure out the best type of content to post for you guys, and even the best type of video. You know, if you like that but you think that I should make quicker videos or more methodical videos, if you think I should even break down even more my process and give you more details, just let me know. Let me know what you would like to see, especially if you're an artist. But of course, if you're not an artist and you just enjoy watching videos like this, your comment and your suggestions are also very highly appreciated. You know, that's all I want right now. I just want to figure it out what's the best value that I can provide for everyone. And thanks for sticking in and watching this video, and I hope you have a good weekend. Bye bye.